Ok, Pedro, 5 y empezamos.
Hola, buenos días. Hello, good morning. My name is Pedro Heredia, and today we have a very important and informative webinar. Today we're going to speak about the TIE and the healthcare system in Spain, how to access to the healthcare system in Spain. Today is the 11th of December. Right now it's 1:08 o'clock. And we are very close from Christmas right now, and we are very close to the 31st of December 2020. For those who are British, I mean, of course, this date is very important because the transition period is going to end and is going to enter the Brexit situation for those who are residents in Spain and for those who are going to become resident or are thinking about becoming resident in Spain. So we understand that this is extremely important to explain what is the TIE and to, of course, to explain one of the, I would say, the most important documents in order to apply for residence in Spain is to access to healthcare system, private and public. For those reasons, we have a special guest. We have invited Ignacio Pellicer, which is an expert lawyer, and he's been with many experience, many conferences and seminars speaking about TIE and, of course, the healthcare system. Hello, Ignacio, good morning.
Hello, Pedro, good morning.
And also we have a special guest from one of the most reputable companies, insurance companies in Spain, which is Mapfre. And in order to explain, for those who may require a private health in Spain, in order to explain which are the requirements, how to apply for this, and which are the limitations. Hola, Esperanza. Good morning.
Good morning, Pedro.
Okay, well, first of all, I mean, we will speak about TIE. As I said, we have a 31st of December deadline. And I think this is extremely important, Ignacio, is right now for, I would say, for the British citizens that wants to apply for the TIE. Right now is getting a struggle on dates. And what happens if someone do not apply for the TIE? Let's just start for the simple thing. What is really a TIE?
Hello, Pedro. Well, thank you for the presentation. I think these webinars are always very informative. Thank you, Esperanza. Now, what we are trying to explain today, because you might agree, Pedro, because of the Brexit situation, we've been very busy with trying to legalize the expat community in Spain. Now, you all know that when you come to Spain, we're having a lot of questions about tax resident, not tax resident, but let's start, as you said, Pedro, from the very beginning. When if you're planning to move to Spain, or if you're already here and you're spending more than 3 months, what you need to do is register at Extranjería. Now, in the old days, like the rest of the European countries, as today, it was the green card, which was like a credit card size, which was what we call residencia, right? That residencia, we need to make difference for people who are European. And there we go now, for the TIE, will be for the non-European. That's where Pedro starts the TIE. TIE is Tarjeta de Identificación de Extranjeros, and is like an ID card for residents. Now, I'm going to just explain today, if you're already resident here and you already have the green card, what you need to do is to swap it into the TIE. Bear in mind, this is not compulsory and you don't have to swap it if you don't wish. I only recommend for the British expat community to do it because it's only about protecting rights. It's only about you being legalized through the Spanish system. And the TIE card can only help you on your future relationships with the administration. What do I need, Pedro, to swap this resident green card? I will need just a photo. I will need, if you change the address, only the padron. If you didn't change the address, you don't need it. And you need the old residencia. and once you do so, you need to pay a tax, which is 12 euros, filling a form and lodge it through the extranjería office. If they wish, they could do it themselves. If they need assistance, we could help them with that. That will be for those who are already residents in Spain with the green card and swapping and using the option, not the obligation, to swap it and to be into the system.
Let me tell you one thing. I was going to ask you that, because is this not an obligation? They still maintain the rights of residents in Spain, but of course, I assume that you probably recommend to apply for the T.I.E because it's going to be more practical for the future, for the contact with the administration and for identification. It has like a card, a biometrical card, it says.
Correct.
I assume it's recommended to apply for the T.I.E, is that right?
That's correct, Pedro. I mean, again, if even we've been doing all these webinars many years ago, probably 3 years ago. We've been updating the expat community, and now even in our videos, they could even check that and the law that we have published in a website. They're not obliged to swap it. Now, why do I recommend is good? Because eventually, you know how Spain is a paper trail country. We like to always justify before the administration on an updated situation. It's not wrong to have the old green card, but I'm pretty sure the way things are going that it could only benefit yourself if you need to have relationship with the administration. So again, Pedro, it's not compulsory for those who already have it and they didn't change the address. If they did change the address, Pedro, what they need to do with a padron, photo, and pay the local the extranjería tax and swap it. Okay, that will be written down that under the Article 50 of the withdrawal agreement. That means all the rights will be protected according to that article, and for your peace of mind, that will be useful and needed to have a relationship with the administration. Now, if you didn't change the address, you don't have to again. Pedro, shall we jump in?
Let me just say one thing, because you have said about certification of padrón. I'm assuming that many of who are listening to us, they know what is a padrón, a certificado de empadronamiento. Could you explain us what is this document and what it says?
Right. The padrón is just another, we could be here talking forever for a lot of things. Padrón, to be very practical, is your registration at your local town hall. So it is a certificate where the administration accepts you, register in that town hall, and they issue a certificate saying you're being registered here. There is another document, which is the historical padrón, which he will prove eventually how many years you've been in Spain, how many town halls you did contact, etc., etc. But we don't even need that. We just need the padrón. If you change the address of that, then you'll have to swap it, Pedro. That's when you have to do it. If you didn't change address, you could carry on with the green card. What cases I'm recommending not to swap it? Probably, well, if you're very old, you don't need to do anything. It's very difficult, it's very stressful, and you don't have to, then don't do it.
Exactly.
But if you, and even if you want to do it yourself, my recommendation is go ahead with it. That's with regards, Pedro, with the T.I.E swapping, okay, for the already existing residents. Now, what is a T.I.E and what are the documents for the rest of the people? That means for those who are coming over to Spain, they've been already 3 months in Spain, or they're willing to stay here in Spain. Now we are in a very difficult situation, Pedro, because we are, as you said, the 11th of December today. We're running out of time. We only have 20 days to go and to close the year. And therefore, for those who are just coming here and opening a bank account, obviously, they're not going to comply with the requirement of having the 9,000 euros per person in the bank account. Okay, so that's going to be a challenge now for all of us. But again, if those people are just jumping on already here, we could help them through. but there is not a guarantee because we don't comply with that existing requirements. Let me, Pedro, run through.
Oh, okay, go, please.
Yeah, let me just run through roughly, not being very, very specific, because there are certain situations where it could be discussed personally. First, we need a copy of your passport and copies of all the existing pages. Okay, in the old days that was not necessary, but now it's necessary. We need to fill a form, pay the 12 euros tax for you to submit the application. The certificate of empadronamiento, as Pedro said, we need to register that. That's another existing problem because you need to have a contract to register a renting contract or a purchase contract. So the town hall will accept you in the system. So that's another requirement that is compulsory to have. If you already have the NI number, you'll submit it. If you're already on retiree age and you've got the S1, we'll need the S1 to submit it. For those who don't have the S1, we will need the insurance, the health insurance to start with for at least 1 year. And after that year, you could carry on with a private insurance, or you could just join into the social security, or even use and have both. Okay?
Exactly.
So that's very important. And the last, Pedro, and the most probably, well, all of them are very important, but now are the most difficult one, is to have a Spanish bank account with 9,000 euros per person minimum in the account, and you'll need to prove you've been using that with credit cards and debit cards, that bank account while living in Spain. That's a requirement that at the moment I'm finding difficult to prove because basically, Pedro, because of timing. And what we're trying to do is justify you have enough money, and then you will provide that eventually as we move on. If necessary, if it's denied, we will appeal, or we'll see how we move, because we're running out of time, Pedro, here, and we insisted on so many webinars to do it sooner rather than later, but here we go. That's where we are, Pedro.
Okay, I have some questions here, but the first one is a question that is, it looks like probably it's silly, but it's something that is being asked by some clients sometimes. It says, I have the NI number, do I need a TIE? And of course, it's nothing to do one document to other. I mean, can you explain us what is the NI number? Why is it totally different from the TIE?
The NI number is a tax code number that you just need when you are going to do business in Spain. For example, you're going to buy a car, you're going to buy a property, you're going to open a bank account in Spain, because nowadays you're going to apply for a health insurance, because nowadays probably Esperanza will explain to us that they need an NI number to get you connected. So the NI number is only a tax code for you to be registered as a non-resident, Pedro, before the tax office. Okay? So that's important for people to know what is an NI number, TIE, and the difference between the existing ones and the other ones. And on top of that, Pedro, I think it's important for them to doing everything sooner rather than later. Okay. Okay.
We've been saying at the beginning from the 31st of December is a deadline. Of course, do we have or have been informed, or there is any official information that this period of time in order to apply residency may be extended to March, for example? Do we have some idea about if the immigration office may be able to officially, officially there is nothing right now, but of course, I assume what we've been told that may be extended for fingerprints, but of course we don't know exactly if this is going to happen or not. Of course.
At the moment, we're having problem with the appointments, but everything is being submitted online. So once we gather all these important documents with the client, we just submit it with our digital certificate, and then we just have an average, Pedro, we're having an average of 15 days to get a resolution. Sometimes we get it in 4 days, sometimes you get it 15, and that's what we're having. But there are no appointments yet as today for the fingerprint. It's not very, very important, because the important thing, Pedro, is to have the resolution saying you're entitled to it. The fingerprint is only another part of the process that you need to do But the most important thing for everybody who's watching and they are still living this for the very last minute, do it as soon as possible and submit it now to get the resolution in your favor. And that's
okay. Now that you have said that this digital certification, and I assume when I'm with appointments with clients and I explain the digital certification, I need to explain what it is. Can you explain in this webinar what is a digital certification and why a law firm or a study do we need it?
Right. Well, basically, it is like a digital signature, Pedro, which is like it's a certificate where it proves that the person who's signing from the digital system is you, identifies, and you could only get this code before the administration. So you could only get it through the tax office or a SUMA office in Comunidad Valenciana and specific places where the administration did authorize them to issue to the person to get the digital certificate. With that, Pedro, you could just speak to tax office, social security, all kind of offices, etc., and even lodge the existing application for your T.I.E.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Ignacio. Thank you for the fantastic explanation. I would like just to add some minutes about, I think it's extremely important always, the tax issues. I mean, whenever someone starts and becomes resident in Spain, Ignacio, I assume that there are some tax liabilities, some tax obligations that are attracted to one who becomes resident, to one who acquires the T.I.E. Can you explain us briefly? I mean, of course, it's not the main objective of this webinar, but it's perfectly linked to whenever who wants to apply for residency.
Right, Pedro. Try not to be very long on the explanation. If you're living in Spain more than 183 days, you should inform the tax office that you're a tax resident in Spain. Now, it's very important for those who are trying to apply for the T.I.E. to do tax planning, because a lot of people, Pedro, we managed to get questions saying, shall I apply for the T.I.E.? Shall I become fiscal resident? Okay, well, the first thing you need to do is to balance and see what are your priorities. Where do you want to live? Whether you want to live in Spain more than 6 months or not. If you want to live more than 6 months in Spain, obviously, because there is still no deal between European Union and the UK. So therefore, everybody, all the expat, the British citizen, will be treated as a non-European country unless we reach a new agreement. So therefore, they will be treated like Americans, Canadian, and then we're going to end up going through the visas. So the 3 months for the tourist, or non-lucrative visa, Pedro, 6 months minimum, or golden visa. So all type of visas, visa for students, visa for working. But it's very important for clients to think whether, what is the picture, the tax picture for themselves. We've been doing a lot of advising a lot of clients, doing simulations, Pedro, about the tax. It is important for them to sit down with an independent lawyer and accountant. Yeah. So after 6 months, they will be liable here in Spain. It's important that in the UK they know there are no tax codes, so it's important for them to inform them. It is important if they are in a very difficult situation according to the double taxation treaty to get a non-resident certificate according to the double taxation treaty in the UK before UK and Spain. It is important for them to know what tax liabilities they're going to face.
Exactly.
And obviously, all these people, Pedro, already had a T.I.E. because the first thing you need to do is to get the NI number or the T.I.E. Once you get it, you need to put all the tax implications in motion. However, you could do all the tax planning before. So I highly recommend them to do the tax planning in the meanwhile that they are applying for the resident, because in some cases they might think it's not even worth it, and probably they will not need the T.I.E. because they will only come to Spain as a tourist. Okay, so it's quite linked, Pedro. It's quite important, but advice, independent advice is key here, and it will save money and time, Pedro. So
okay.
Over to you now.
Okay, fantastic, Ignacio. I mean, of course, it's extremely important to make a tax planning once you become resident. But of course, well, before you become resident, to know what are going to be your obligations or what will be your taxes to pay to declare in Spain. according to the double taxation treaty. In this case, if we speak about UK, between UK and Spain has already some conventions with many, many countries. Okay, well, let's entry a video of immigration, Juan Fran, before we speak with Esperanza.
You're new to Spain and in need of legal help. When you're not in a country that is foreign to you, you want someone who speaks your language, who understands you, and who will have an answer to all immigration and nationality matters. At 𝐿ICER and Heredia, you can count on a specialist in international law and a multidisciplinary team that can help you handle all the necessary formalities. Do you want to take advantage of the Golden Visa program? We will help you obtain the residence visa for investors through the purchase of a property or via a business project that you're looking to develop in Spain. Do you need a residence permit? Obtain it for non-profit purposes or through family, work, study, research and training purposes. If, on the other hand, what you are looking for is a renewal, we take care of the whole process, so all you need to do is leave your fingerprint. We also deal with re-entry permits in the case that you want to leave and return to Spain. And of course, we help you obtain the certificate of registration as a European citizen, the foreigner's identity number, Spanish citizenship, and the certified translation of documents in all languages. Because at 𝐿ICER and Heredia, we know that speaking your language is the only way to gain your confidence. Trust that we repay with 2 words: professionalism and commitment. 𝐿ICER and Heredia, international lawyers.
Okay, well, thank you, Ignacio, for the explanation of the T.I.E. Of course, I would like you to also to intervene any time in order to speak with Esperanza and with myself. As we are right now going to speak about the healthcare system and specifically on the private health system, on the private policies, insurance policies that are required in order to apply in some scenarios for residency in Spain. As it was said by Ignacio, sometimes, I mean, it could be access to public system, for example, with the S1, and some scenarios you should apply for the private insurance. For this reason, we have invited Esperanza from a very reputable company named MAPFRE, which we always recommend, and of course, we are delighted in order to speak with you. Hola, Esperanza. Hello, Esperanza.
Hello, good morning to everyone. Okay, so I'm representing MAPFRE, which is a big insurance company in Spain. Mm-hmm. And wherever you live or wherever you come to live, you will find a little office or a big office of us. Okay, we do private health insurance. Mm-hmm. For resident, and like Ignacio was saying before, you could do, even if you haven't got the T.I.E, if you only got the NIE, we can do the insurance for you. And as well, you can do it with the passport for 3 months in the meantime until you get the NIE number, and then you can carry on with the private health insurance. What else can I say? We give you the policy if it's no problem, health problems or anything. You get the policies then straight away without waiting. And what I was saying, you will find an office to help you wherever you are. And in Alicante itself, we got our own health little hospital if you want. You can choose any hospital in Spain, and even you got the chance as well, if you live here or you're going on holidays to England or to wherever your country is, you can choose another insurance company which you can use your own doctor, and we refund you the 20%. You only pay the 20% of the amount what it costs you, even in Spain. I don't know if I explain is difficult. Yes. So you can have an insurance which you can only use in Spain and on emergency outside Spain. And you can have an insurance which you can use in Spain and all over the world if you don't stay more than 3 months outside Spain, right? And then if you need to go to the doctor while you're on holidays in Germany, you can go and see your doctor and you bring us the bill and Mafre will refund you the 80% of that bill. And even in Spain is well, you want to go to a doctor who told you he speaks English or German or Norwegian and you prefer because you understand, you pay the bill of that doctor and we refund you the 80% of the amount. And it's more or less like that.
Okay, perfect. Esperanza.
More about it?
At this time, as a private insurance, of course, I understand that you, whenever someone has an urgency, you are able to answer rapidly. Are you able to give information rapidly to those ones who wants to have access to a doctor, or there's a book where you can choose all the doctors in case that there is an urgent need or a need? How do the clients really are conducted into in this case, a hospital, or if there's information in all the policies?
Yeah, yes. Well, we got an APP, which when you got it on your mobile, you got a card which you can have on the mobile, and you could just go in the APP and they tell you the hospital that you go more near where you are, because you can live in Alicante, but you can be, I don't know, for work or for holidays in Bilbao, right?
Okay.
So
okay.
if you go to any office in Mafre, they will tell you which hospital they are near them. I can tell you that in Alicante we got the Perpetuo Socorro, we got Vitas, the Mafre as well, and doctors which are their own just private office.
Just for a number, how many, if you know it, how many hospitals or how many doctors are included in the policy of insurance of Mafre? I don't know if you know that.
I don't know, but I can tell you we got the 𝐸𝐞𝐥𝐥 clinic in Valencia, which more, and we got el Hospital Clínico de... we got
no, but I assume, Esperanza, I assume there are many hospitals, yeah?
Many hospitals,
yeah,
and many private doctors as well without hospital, right? I can tell you in Benidorm is 2 private clinics, right? IMED, Hospital Levante, and the Benidorm Clinic, and both are working with us.
Okay.
Or we are working with them. No problem.
Okay, I don't know, Ignacio, you have some questions regarding, or you would like to add something about the private insurance?
Well, I think it's been clear. Private insurance is a need for the first year. I always tell clients that it is a must to do it. They could always ask for the coverage and the price and see which one fits best for them. Now, after the 1 year, once you've got Pedro, for 1 year, you can join Social Security office. For those who are below 65 years old, they could even connect as well with 60 euros per month to the Social Security, along with the private insurance if they want to keep it. Because some clients setting up here want to keep it private because it works fine. I'm sure, Esperanza, a lot of doctors in your list speak English, and some people might prefer to do that. Now, if you're over 65, you can still join the Social Security after 1 year, and then you just need to pay 157 euros per person. It will not include medicines, etc., etc. Now, there is some people that if they are working in Spain, they will have that coverage. If they are autonomous, Pedro, they're self-employed, they will be registered at the Social Security. So it will be included, the fee for the Social Security will be included there. But I don't know, if you want quickly, Pedro, we can run through some questions.
Okay,
which,
I haven't seen
because we're
them.
running out
Let me
of
just
time.
check it. Okay, yes, let's. I can see there are some questions. We will try to read some of them. Let's start from Nikolai. Thank you, Nikolai, for joining us and, of course, making a question. He has applied online the T.I.E in November the 18th, and it looks like that he has not received an answer. So he's asking how long should he wait, and if it must be this year or not, or how long to wait for the card T.I.E after the resolution. And well, this is the first question. I mean, of course, about timing I understand it's difficult, but would you be able to give us like some timing about this?
Right. If he's a British citizen and he applied for the 18th of November, he should have a resolution. Now, I will ask Nikolai whether he did through a lawyer, through Hester or somebody. It is important for them to check if they are applying for the TI and they didn't get the resolution, they should keep an eye on it, because I consider it will be worth asking, you know. And if Nikolai is British, especially more, because time is running out. So my suggestion, Pedro, will be popping to the 𝐶 area office where you did lodge it, or if you did it, just try to employ somebody to find out what is the problem with that. Because 18th of November for a British citizen, I consider he should have a response already now, Pedro. So that's for the first question we have. Okay.
Sorry, I have a microphone. Okay, we'll be reading some other questions. I will not be able to read all of them because we are gonna be run out of time. From Nikki, thank you, Nikki, for joining us also. And what she says is that how easy it is to get an appointment with you regarding tax advice. This is linked what we said before. It is specifically linked residency and, of course, taxes. It looks like that she has applied for residency T.I.E in Valencia region 3 months ago and still don't have a resolution. Is that okay, or to leave like that, or should I be worried? Right.
Okay. The question about a tax advice video conference. We've got many clients from Valencia, and nowadays, Pedro, with the pandemic, the video conference works very, very well. So, so that's basically it. You just give us a ring. We just organize it, and we could just get you the appointment as soon as possible. Okay. Now, with regards to your question, you applied for your TA in Valencia region 3 months ago, and you still don't have a resolution. Again, I will encourage everybody to ask, if you did yourself, to ask at the police station about that. If you did through a lawyer or through a Hester, just speak to them. For example, we've got in-house an immigration department. There is 3 people, and the person who goes on a daily basis to all the extranjería offices in Alicante province is always in contact with the police officer. So we can never promise anything, because you know how difficult things are, but we could guarantee that we are on a daily basis at the police station, and we can make questions and make inquiries and try to find out the best way forward. So if you were 3 months with no reply, Nikki, my recommendation is to contact the extranjería office through the person who you dealt with. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Ignacio. Let's go for the following question. I think will be the latest one, probably. I assume that we will be answering most of them by email if we could, if we have an email of the clients. Okay, well, it's from Anthony. Thank you, Anthony, for joining us and listening to us. What he says is time is clearly running. Of course, we said that the 31st of December is a deadline
for the British citizens to apply under the TIE system. What he wants is, of course, I think we have already run through all the requirements to appoint for the TIE, but to appoint a personal representative to apply for the TIE, to apply for the NIE and Padrón. We have already explained which is the NIE and the Padrón, and he's asking, it is true that the immigration service is accepting applications as long as they are lodged before the 31st of December cut-off date? I don't know, Ignacio, you are listening to me?
I can't. What was your question, Pedro? I didn't get it. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. So what at the end Anthony is asking is regarding what requirements needs to do in order to appoint for a personal representative in order to apply for the NI number, for the
right. Well, it's very yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it's very simple, Pedro. If they are in the UK or in any other country, they could grant power of attorney to an independent lawyer who could represent them. We used to these things. It's not a problem. If you send us an email or contact us, we could identify where you are, how can we progress it, and we could get you an NI number, right? So with regards to the NI number, is not a problem with power of attorney. For residencia, you need to be present, okay? That's important. Now, Pedro, I think you did ask me anything else, Pedro? Or I lost you?
I mean, the question from Anthony, let me look for that because it's running, of course, all the different questions.
There is a big list, yeah.
Column. Okay, well, but Anthony was asking is regarding what happens if someone has applied for residency, lodge the application before 31st, but of course do not have any appointment or resolution and do not have, of course, any TI card before the 31st. I mean, it's been accepting applications. I mean, at the end, the applications you have already said is with a digital certification, it's been applied. Okay. I don't know if you are listening, Ignacio. I'm not sure if
I didn't get the question, but what was the specific question, Pedro?
It is true that the immigration service is accepting applications as long as they are lodged before 31st December cutoff date. Let me just, I think what he wants to understand is not just apply for that, because applying can be done at the end, the 31st of December, but this application, whenever it's done, of course, submitting all the requirements regarding NI number, regarding Padrón, regarding the insurance, and if someone applies with all of the requirements perfectly into an application, and this is done late, well, let's say late, on time, but late to be received the TIE because will be done, of course, the following year, because will be admitted the following year, because the resolution will be the following year. The question really is what is going to happen with those that are going to apply, let's say, that latest week of December?
It's a good question.
Yeah, it is. It is.
At the moment, Pedro, the only thing I could say, at the moment, we're lodging still for those, but we always inform clients they don't comply at the moment with the requirements, Pedro, because if you need to have 9,000 euros per person in the bank for 3 months, obviously, for just a time point of view, it is impossible to accomplish that requirement. But I don't know how flexible Extranjería will say. If you've been here, you've been investing money, you've got money in your abroad account, and you could carry on living in Spain using your debit cards, but at the moment you don't comply, but after 3 months you comply. So we could submit it later on through an appeal, Pedro. I'm just thinking loud here. What will be the scenario that we will do for those who are applying? I think, Pedro, the only option we'll have is to make the application, get the denied resolution, then appeal with more paperwork, then see what they say. If necessary, go to the courts in Alicante, in our area or in any area, to say we comply with the requirements, even though not at the time, but now during the procedure. That's what I'm just planning, Pedro, to do. But again, nothing is certain, is it?
No, exactly. Latest question for Esperanza. Hello, Esperanza. Are you listening to me?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, it's a
Yes.
question regarding what is the cost of full insurance health policy? What is the cost? In standard, yeah, of course.
In standard, yeah, but it depends if you is a woman or a man, depending on the age, that everyone, but I don't know, if it's a young person, I can tell you
course,
about 30 years, it could be the full, the more expensive insurance could be about maybe 800, 900 euros a year. But it's not, because it's just always depend on the age, and if it's a man or a woman. And as well, I forgot to say before that the age is up to 65 years old that we can do the insurance. If we do the insurance with 63 years old, they can carry on until they want to. But if they after 65, we cannot do it. Okay.
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 And you can tell Nikolai, he can go to any Mafre insurance and they'll give you the price for them.
With all this information personally from him, we'll be giving a budget to him. Okay, perfect. Well, thank you. Many thanks, Esperanza, for joining us. Many thanks for explaining to us and showing in general terms what is a private health policy, what requirements, what service. And well, thank you, Ignacio, also for the explanation about the TIE and answering all those questions about the TIE, which is extremely important now because we are, running out of through the 31st of December. I assume that the following weeks will be some answers that now we cannot answer in some way, even though we can, well, prevent what will be the situation. And thank you both of you for joining us. And now we are going to enter a very special video that we recorded, me and Ignacio. We joined with Rob Innes, which is an expat in Spain for many, many years. And well, here at the end, he explains what he recommends to expats that wants to relocate, wants to become resident in Spain. And we do it. That video, we do it in a special bodega, which is a wine. I don't know the translation in English, the bodega, wine. I don't know, Ignacio, what is a bodega in English? It is a winery.
We call it bodega, winery shop, I guess. The vineyards where we were.
Vineyards, exactly, and very special. And it's a special place with a special wine, wine from, I would say, more than 50 years old. And well, it was a special interview that we made to Rob Innes, and of course he explained with calm what he will do in order to recommend to those who are thinking to come to Spain, to be raised in Spain, to join Spain in the following months. Okay, I don't know, Ignacio, you want to add something about this video that we enjoyed?
Just before we go, Esperanza, before we go into the beautiful video that Robin is explaining as an expert, what he recommends, what he doesn't recommend, what the experience, I will recommend the audience just to send an email to us if they've got further questions through our Facebook, through the channel. I know time is precious now, Christmas are just here, but we're happy to help even for those who we didn't answer the specific questions. Thank you, Esperanza, for your input. I'm sure if we have any questions about that, we'll pass them on to you. And thank you all. Lovely to see you all, and see you on next webinar. Pedro.
Next webinar that we are having the latest webinar on this year. We will be speaking about starting a business in Spain. Okay, well, thank you, everyone. Thank you who is listening to us and joining us. And I hope you enjoy this spectacular video. Thank you.
It was very interesting and very informative, and I learned a lot. I'm so surprised that the history of this bodega is incredible, no?
That's right.
Yeah, I think it's hard to believe that we're going to drink 50 years of history, isn't it?
50 years, yes.
50 years of history of the best wine.
And they've won many awards, so this is very high quality.
It's been awarded as the best wine of Spain. I mean, this week, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it was yesterday, wasn't it? So,
Very special experience.
yeah, I mean, quite unique. And
I've been amazed about that this wine has been done constantly during the last 100 years, they said. It's absolutely incredible.
That's a long history, and many things have happened in Spain, including the arrival of foreigners to live here, including me, for 20 years.
yeah, I wouldn't think a wine will last so long. 500.
That is a long time.
500 years of history.
Well, most of the wines of this Fondillon, how would you pronounce it, this wine?
In my poor Spanish accent, I would say Fondillon, no?
Yeah, but that will be in Spanish.
Yeah, that will be in
Fondillon.
Spanish.
The English
The
would probably
English,
say
Fondillon.
Fondillon. Dillon.
Fondillon.
But that wouldn't be correct.
Well, but it sounds well, and so I would say, yeah.
But we need to learn the
Exactly,
language
of
and
course.
improve our pronunciation
yeah.
and understand the history,
Exactly.
and then you can enjoy the country more.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But with the accent, I think with the Fondillon.
Fondillon.
But it's not easy. That's my excuse.
Yeah, yeah. It happens with our name. It's not easy neither for them to pronounce. It's double L. And
Yeah,
And they
that's a
say
little
they
bit
need to be
complicated.
like in these barricas, it's like minimum 10 years. Is in this bodega, they say that as a internal protocol, they say that minimum 20 years, which is mostly the years that you have been in Spain.
Yes, it is. That's right. I've had many experiences over those years. But now Spain, I think, produces a lot of really high quality wine at the top end of the spectrum,
that's right.
but also the cheaper wines.
Yeah.
So
Well,
there's something for everybody.
Yeah, yeah. But I think now the quality value for money in wines in Spain is very, very good. I mean, you could have just ordinary wine, reasonable, but very good, and you could have even more expensive wine.
Well, I agree. I'm lucky. One of the activities of my social group is wine tasting. So we get around to quite a lot of bodegas, but this is my first time here, and I'm very impressed.
Yeah,
And
actually,
the quality is fantastic.
The bodega just said that they're trying to keep also of drinking wine for everybody. So that's what she
Well,
said.
it is an option for everyone. I think the wine is like an analogy for life in Spain. There's a wine for everyone, and there's also a life in Spain for everyone.
That's right.
Whatever you want to do, wherever you want to be, there are options.
That's good. Well, let's cheers. Cheer together then.
Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Or should we say salud as well?
Salud.
Salud.
So, Rob, you decided 20 years ago to come to Spain. And what was your first thought about coming to Spain? And what was your first experience on coming to Spain?
I think at the time I was looking for a new life. Many things in my life in England had ended, my career and other personal attachments. So I came looking for a new life in a new country. The 20 years have gone by very quickly. I can't believe it. I've had many experiences, and I'm glad to say most of them enjoyable. I've lived in many different places, I've met a lot of different people, and had a lot of experiences. And also I've travelled quite a lot in Spain. Spain is so big, it's so diverse. I mean, you can have the mountains up in Picos de Europa, up in the north. You can have the heat of Andalusia, the crazy culture of Barcelona with Gaudi, the culture of Madrid, and all the fantastic historical buildings in Madrid. There is so much to do and see and experience. And I have a fantastic lifestyle here. You don't necessarily need a lot of money.
Exactly.
I have a very healthy lifestyle. I have a lot of exercise in the local mountains where I live now, a lot of good friends, and I enjoy it immensely. So, despite Brexit, we will carry on.
Well, actually, because of Brexit now that you mentioned, I think a lot of people are making the move. They're just saying now is the right time to go. And then we are very busy, Pedro, aren't we?
That's right.
With all these immigration business now and getting them sorted. And but I don't think that a lot of people are very scared to come. They are coming and they just want to do it before Brexit. I don't know if you experience, because you read a lot and in the forums, you are in the forums, so you know the atmosphere.
I use the forums on the internet to exchange information and to see what's going on. And I certainly get the impression a lot of people are trying to arrive before the Brexit cut-off date. But even if they don't, it's still an option to come.
Exactly.
That's right.
People came to live in Spain before the EU existed. There's been a long history of foreign settlers in Spain, a very long history if we look back a long way. So it's not going to be impossible. But yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are trying to come now and do the necessary documentation before the final cut-off. But it won't be impossible next year.
No, of course not.
Let me just say one anecdote that I read recently, and it was why Costa Blanca is named Costa Blanca. And it was the pilots from British Airways from 1957, when they came to the Alicante airport, they were saying like, this is the white sand and the beaches and and the village, they are white on the coast. And they said, well, this is the white coast, white coast, and then it translated into Spanish. It's Costa Blanca.
Well, I've never heard that before.
And I recently read it, and I presume it should be correct, but it was the British Airways pilots that they were mentioning this area as Costa Blanca.
Well, I've never heard that before, so that's interesting. That's something else I've learned today. I mean, I think it's a fantastic area to live in the Alicante region. We've got the beaches, we've got the mountains, we've got a great infrastructure of roads, high-speed transport, the airport, tram system, you name it. And a great selection of environments in which to live. You can live in big towns, you can live in villages, you can live on golf resorts, on the beach. There's something for everyone.
I think we've got a big variety here that suits everybody in a way. Even if you come, some people will come with families, some people will come retiring, some people will come just to do sports, golf courses, a lot of people. So I think there is room for everybody. And then
I think what people need to do is try and decide what their priorities are.
That's right.
Now, if they're younger, maybe work, it's going to be schools for the children. Older people now, like myself, in retirement or approaching retirement, maybe looking for larger houses with gardens to spend their time, in social groups. They may want to live on the beach. I mean, it's a fantastic area for the beach, some of the best beaches in Spain. I've lived on the beach and enjoyed that experience. But now, as you know, because you helped me organise the purchase of my house, I now live in a small village. And I'm very happy with that. I can leave my house, be walking in the mountains within 5 minutes. And that, for me, is perfect.
You've been actually, Rob, you've been in 3 different areas, haven't you? You've been in, or probably a bit more. So you've got to know even the very Spanish, the first step to, I think it was Torrevieja, your first step, was it?
I lived in Torrevieja, which is a town of 100,000 people. So that was an interesting experience. Whilst they built the house I bought off plan. So I then left Torrevieja, went out to what they call here an urbanisation, what the Brits might know as a housing estate. And I had my detached villa with my swimming pool, and I enjoyed that experience. But then I started a business and I needed to move back into the town centre. So I went back into a larger flat in Torrevieja. So I had that experience of living in a town. Then when I retired, I moved out to Playa San Juan Beach, which is the beach resort of Alicante, which again was a fantastic experience. That's a beautiful place to live. And then for personal reasons, I decided to move up and be near friends with a house in a small village. So I've seen a lot of different environments and I've enjoyed them all.
And you are up in the mountain, aren't you?
Well, I am. I can leave my house and be walking in the mountains with friends and neighbours, or sometimes just by myself when you want downtime, if you like. But I can get in the car and in 10 minutes be down on the coast. So I really think, you know, I've got the best of both worlds, which is available to everyone, of course.
I know. Well, one of the things that people firstly search is I mean, whenever they think about moving to Spain, it's about property. Or if I buy a property or rent a property, or which area should I move on? What will you recommend to them?
That is, it's a big question. I think it needs research, but I think people also need to try and make some sort of list of what their priorities are. Again, based on maybe their time of life, whether they need the schools and the work, or whether they're looking for retirement activities. But I would recommend that people make a list of what they think their priorities are, whether it's to be near a town, in a town, near a school, near work, near a hospital, near the beach, near a golf course, whatever they think their priorities are. Whether they want to do a lot of driving or no driving, they've got to live near facilities more. And when they've got those sort of ideas sorted out in their head, then they can match their requirements, I think, to areas. And then they can find the perfect place that meets their needs.
I think that's the key.
And the key thing, I think, again, to remember, something which I'm very convinced of, there is something for everyone, because there are a lot of environments, even in the Alicante region. If you think the Alicante region is going to be too warm for you, then you can make it a little bit farther north. Spain is a big country, it's very diverse. There is something here for all people, at whatever time of life, whatever their requirements, it can be found.
And actually, in the Alicante-Costa Blanca region, is a privilege. We've got now the weather. The weather, I think, is excellent. It was raining the whole Spain this week, and except here. Basically, here is warm.
We
still
are very lucky. I
still
think just
25.
the geographical location of Alicante, we're far enough away from the Atlantic, so that doesn't bother us. We're not so far north that anything coming from the north gets us. Here is perfect. It's hot summers.
Yeah.
Very good autumns and springs, and a very mild and fairly short winter. And the winter makes a change. You can get your winter clothes out. And just
It's also good
lifestyle.
to have a winter time, yeah.
But I personally am not a lover of the cold anymore. After 20 years, I'm happy when it's warmer. But I get to the winter and I enjoy it. You do different activities, different clothes, different times of day. You're in and out the house, and it's livable.
And now,
bearable.
actually now, Rob, with internet, because probably when you came, internet was not so much installed in Spain or probably in the world. Well, I don't know, 2020 was not very much.
20 years ago, I think there was internet, but I mean, there was nowhere near the volume and amount of information available that people have to them now. But I would advise people to be careful. Just because something is on the internet doesn't mean it's true.
That's true.
If people are going to rely on the internet for their research, I would advise them to really use authorized, professional, up-to-date websites.
That's right.
From reliable, guaranteed sources. Because quite often this information can be either incorrect when it was posted or it's got out of date.
That's right.
So don't rely totally on the internet.
Well, it happens to our market. I mean, it's like people say, oh, I've read this, I've read that, or this is true, and they say, no, that is not correct.
That's true.
And that should be done this way. And I mean, all these rumors are found now on the internet. A lot of rumors, which some of them are true, but some of them are not. So it's, I agree with you that is. And what do you think about the connection on internet is working very well? Because now a lot of families are, and people is working at home.
That's true.
So it's right now we need to adapt to that situation. It's in Spain and in this area specifically. Is the internet, I assume that works well.
I think the availability of internet here, there's very good coverage. I mean, I live in a small village now of under 1,000 people. We've now got fibre optic in the village. The system I currently use operates at 20 megabits, but I'm going to move over to the fibre optic system, which I think has a speed option of up to 600. That's probably too much for my requirements, but I'll probably take the 100 megabit service, which is going to cost me about €2 a day. I was talking to a friend of mine last week. He's taken a 600 megabit service. He lives in a household with an 18-year-old son who's a bit of an internet geek. He needs that speed and that capacity. But it is generally available everywhere at what I think is very reasonable prices. So the internet is not a problem in Spain. The other example I have of that, I was walking in Extremadura, which is, as you know, on the west of Madrid, over on the Portuguese border. It's known as one of Spain's quieter provinces, and yet even when I was walking in the hills of Extremadura, I had very good 4G coverage on my mobile phone.
Okay.
Because I think the Spanish government are making sure that small villages have this service so that people don't have to leave the village. They don't want to see the villages become depopulated.
It's like when you were talking about health. I remember you saying, even in the villages, the health centres are still there, available.
They are. I mean, again, I go back to my village. I mean, it's just one example of many, but obviously one that I understand and it is applicable to me. Under 1,000 people, we have our own health centre. Now, admittedly, it's only open Monday to Friday. So if there's any situations or emergencies at the weekends, then you will need, it's only 10 minutes away
to the hospital, yeah,
to a 24-hour emergency centre. The other thing that's important, I think, is the quality and the availability of the health service. It's so modern. I mean, I access it with a digital card. Now all the prescriptions are contained on the card, which I take to the pharmacy. It's gone paperless.
That's right.
All my records are on the computer. They're available throughout Spain. So if I am travelling and have a problem, my records can be instantly accessed from any region. It's very modern, well-resourced. And I know from friends I've got who have had serious operations. Fortunately, I haven't. I've only had minor things to deal with. But I know friends who've had major operations and they've been very happy and satisfied with the quality and speed of the service.
Yeah, most of our clients are always very impressed with the health system in Spain.
This is what
I mean, probably we don't appreciate it good
exactly.
enough.
I think the Spanish take it for granted because you probably haven't had that option to compare.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
You cannot compare, really.
Yeah.
That's right.
But this is what we receive from our clients. They say, no, it's absolutely fantastic. And it's being very professional and rapid, efficient. I mean, we are receiving all the time this kind of words about the health system in Spain. Yeah.
Rob, what about, what was the main difficulties you had or you could find when you moved to Spain? I mean, obviously the language barrier it could be one. Probably in this area, a lot of people speak English, so you could get by.
They do. I mean, obviously over the years now, in the areas which have got a lot of local foreigners and Brits, or maybe Germans and Dutch, who tend to speak English as the language of the Spanish, there's more English spoken in this region. But I don't think that's an excuse for us not to make the effort and learn at least the basics. That's probably a mistake I made. I came fairly young, and I should have probably spent more time and effort to really understand the language. Of course, if you make the move to somewhere like Madrid, that's really a very Spanish-speaking area, so you're thrown in at the deep end and you have to speak the language. But obviously there are so many advantages with speaking the language. I think you can get so much more out of day-to-day life and have less problems. But don't let it put you off. If you want to come, take it one step at a time, and you can pick up the language and still be happy here.
Yeah, one of the main difficulties probably I've noticed from clients is choosing the wrong team to work with. You know what I'm talking about. You just move to Spain, you fall in love with the house of your dreams, and
That's
then
right.
probably you don't use an independent lawyer, and then you don't use proper people, translators, and conflict of interest I've noticed. And I think this is something that we should always make sure they understand to protect themselves.
I made some mistakes. I think I saw the blue sky and the sun and got carried away and thought everything would be easy to organise. But I would recommend anyone that wants to relocate now, as I say, to make the list of their requirements, do some research, but then it's essential that you do have independent, professional legal advice. If you're going to purchase a house, it's a big decision. It's a big investment. And sometimes you can be advised by maybe an estate agent or maybe a builder if you're buying new to use certain people, and maybe your interests are not best served by someone who is not totally independent.
We are now having the feeling, of course, that families are moving, contacting us, but we are like a very important connection point, as when someone is moving to Spain, or relocation family, or relocation business, at the end, there are some legal issues like immigration, on taxes, or buying a property, or renting a property. So those issues at the end is made by lawyers, by a solicitor, all this advice. And we are receiving more and more this kind of demand. Yeah.
Well, I would, excuse me, I would advise people to take professional advice and to build a relationship, which hopefully can be a long-standing relationship for all the future issues, for tax declarations, for making wills, any inheritances, and all the things that crop up in life. If you can establish a good relationship, I think in the early days, it will help you make sure that your purchase or your rental contract, whatever you decide to do, is professional, legally binding, and in your best interests, and then continue that relationship for all the future issues that you're going to have to deal with in your new life and as you settle down.
Yeah, a good family lawyer probably will help you all throughout. And we're having a lot, Pedro, tax planning demand. So this is very good, Rob, because I don't know whether in the old days that you've been through, experimented the situation of doing tax planning. Now people are being prepared, and we are so happy because that's the best way to sort problems out before you even come, isn't it?
Well, I think the thing that this always, when we discuss tax, the anecdote I always remember in my early years was going to a solicitor somewhere on the 𝐴𝐴𝐻, I believe, and explaining that I now lived here and thought I should be declaring for tax, and I'd got some papers, and he looked at them and just tore them up and threw them away. Said, no, don't bother with that. You don't need to do that. And I walked out feeling rather confused and actually probably breaking the law. So there was, I think in my early days here, there was a very sort of, should we say blasé, a very attitude to these sort of things. But nowadays, I like to do things by the book. I know that I'm not going to receive any nasty knocks on the door, any letters through the post, and any worries. So I do my annual tax declaración de renta, the annual tax return, and I think the taxes here are very reasonable for the quality of life and the benefits I get from the system. I have no complaints.
Actually, a lot of expats now are just going into the situation of having their health insurance. Probably, well, you've been working in Spain, so probably you've been registered as well as an employee. You have the health. But a lot of people are coming now, and they're having even private health. The experience is good as well. Health
good as well,
private and public, both of them are very, very good. And I think people are happy.
People are extremely happy with the private health and with these hospitals. And most of the hospitals right now would say that they have like a translation service.
Yeah.
So which is, of course, the barrier of the communication is eliminated in mostly. But yeah, what we receive from our clients is that it's fantastic. I mean, health system at the end, public and private, it works very well. Yeah.
Well, I did have private health before I got my access to the national health system, and it's available. If I suddenly want to do something cosmetic or something special, you can always turn to the private.
Exactly.
But the national health is adequate. But as you say, the private is there, which some people will need to acquire before they have access to national, depending on their personal circumstances. In Alicante, we have a good range of private hospitals, and I know the service is very good at quite a reasonable cost. It's not quite as expensive as people might imagine.
I don't find it expensive at all, because at the end, the coverage that it's got to be the same range of services that the public system provides, because a requirement to get your permanent resident or your resident. So to get your residencia, you need to have that insurance or the public. So you either register or you either just pay the private. But I've been using both, and I'm quite happy with both. They've been very efficient, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have a small skin operation, and that was before I was in the public system. That was done privately, and it was very professionally done. The insurance paid out and covered it, and I was very pleased with the service. But as you say, it is mandatory that people have the health cover for residencia. So if they can't access the public, and there's a lot of factors how that works, then private is the way to go.
And Rob, what is, I think we always key to try to help people to provide advice before they even have a problem. So now going back to the UK, what would you tell these people if they're thinking about coming here? What will be pretty much the advice from Robin is from an expat?
Well, I wouldn't,
because you've got a lot of knowledge of everything now.
well, over 20 years, you accumulate knowledge and experiences. Some people may be concerned that because the situation the Brits have got with Brexit and the door is closed. I do not believe that, as I said earlier. The rules and regulations have changed, but it's still going to be possible. I would still say come. I still believe there is a fantastic quality of life here. There are many, many opportunities, many locations in which to live and enjoy a healthy lifestyle and to explore Spain and to travel. And I think the quality of life for me, I think is incredible. And the cost of living is still very reasonable.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's talk about, this specific area about the White Coast, Costa Blanca, and what are the areas that you like? I mean, you like to visit bodegas, but also you like to walk, hiking, or visit castles. For example, I know that many clients, they like to watch castles as a historic. What do you like about the area, this Costa Blanca?
For me, there's so much to do and see if you want to get involved. I like with friends to explore either the mountains and the history. I've got friends in Madrid, so I like to explore Madrid. But locally, we spend a lot of time walking the mountains, doing wine tasting, also joining with our Spanish friends in the local culture of Spanish fiestas. So there is a range of activities if you want to be involved. There are many, many opportunities to do these things in this area.
Actually, do you use public transport from your area when you go? I think there is a tram or something like that.
I do. Well, I have today. I drove to obviously the tram doesn't reach up in the mountains to my village, so I came down in the car. I parked the car at the tram station, and then I've done the journey into Alicante on the tram. The tram is a fantastic system.
Yeah.
That's another bonus of Alicante.
Yeah, that's
which
great.
I know they're thinking of expanding out to the airport and beyond.
Well, then let's cheer for a great experience you had. And
here's to the next 20 years if I'm lucky.
Yeah, we'll try to do another meeting in 20 years, hopefully. And for the best wine and best place.
Lucky to be here.
It's been a pleasure to share this
50
spectacular
years.
wine with you
Wow.
guys. And it's a 50 years
50 years of history, Rob.
History.
Just in our taste here.
Muy rico, no?
Muy rico,
Very rich. Very rich.
Very rich.
Muy rico.
Very rich. Wow, that's great.
It's a spectacular wine. I mean,